I'm Kathleen with My Happy Stamping Place. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, and I'm going to demonstrate the 2 cards we made in our stamp club in November 2022. And so we are going to point down at my desktop and I'll get started. Okay. So first I wanted to show you there is, after the first of the year, celebration, which is Stampin' Up's biggest promotion of the year, and I just want to give you a quick sneak peek at one of the celebration stamp sets that is coming. It's these adorable owls, and that title says it all. So cute. And I just did a really quick stamp and color in of one of the owls, and I'm already in love. This is so super cute. So that's coming in January. You can look for those catalogs to land in your mailbox the middle to late December if you're one of my customers. If you don't know if you're on my mailing list or not on any other demonstrators mailing list, just leave me a message and I will pop one in the mail for you. So, all right, so I just wanted to give you a little quick sneak peek at that. And next, I will start with the first card. So first I'll show you the card. It's little Santa on his train. And this is done with the bundle in the holiday catalog. And it is Santa Express. So Santa's Delivery is the stamp set. And it's got Santa train dies that coordinate. These are the dies. And then it also comes with designer paper. And like some of our other sets, there are pieces of the designer paper that you can die cut. And Santa in his train is one of them. And you can see Santa is many different ethnicities, which is really nice and inclusive. So what you do is you can cut a strip of trains and then die cut one of these guys out. And that's what we're doing for this card. So that's what we'll start with here. So let me grab one of the strips. And, all right. So I've got the strip here, and I'm just going to find the train die to go around it. And I'll choose this guy here. And what I like to do is take, when I'm lining up a die like this, these are adhesive tapes. You can use a Post-it note. These are really nice. My friend Denise turned me on to these because you can reuse these more often than you can a Post-it note. They tape flags, I guess they're called. They're by 3M as well. You can get them at pretty much anywhere you get office supplies. So I'm going to just take this and then just feed it through my die cut machine. I'm using the Stampin' Cut and Emboss die cut machine. If you've got another die cut machine, you can use our dies with those, whether it be a Big Shot or a Cuttlebug or many other kinds that should work out fine. So here's the train. And then I also want puffs of smoke to come out of the smokestack. And so I'm just going to take some scrap white and then the dies for that. There is 2 that come together and then 1 on its own. So I'm just going to die cut those all at once. I'm also going to do, this is the train track. So I can do that one as well. So let me just grab some scraps to do that. All right. And you only need the smallest amount of white, obviously, for those little puffs. So I'm just going to die cut those real quick. And then the train track on my original card, I'll pull that back in, I did in the basic black. But just for fun, to change it up a little bit, I've pre-cut the train track in the Poppy Parade red. And so I'm going to use that. So here's the puffs of smoke. Put those aside here. I'm going to grab my Poppy Parade train tracks right here. And then the only other thing I'm going to want with my die cut machine is, you see this trees in the background? There is this, it's called Whimsical Woodland 3D embossing folder. This is in the Holiday 2022 catalog, and it's all these whimsical trees. So because this is a 3D folder, it's a little bit thicker and it gives you a little bit of deeper impression. So with my Stampin' Up! Die cut machine, it gives you a picture on here of how to make your sandwiches for this. So it's not like you have to memorize it. So it's telling me here with the 3D ones, I need my base plate number 1. And then I'm going to put my cardstock inside the die. So let me grab that real quick. And I'm using Petal Pink for that. And these colors all come from the designer paper that I'm using, Santa, that I cut him out of. So that helped me determine my colors I'm using. So I'm just going to put this in, sandwich that. And then there's one other plate here. It's the specialty plate 4 that I'm going to use with the 3D embossing folder and send this through my die cut machine. I'm doing this off camera. I think most people know how to send something through a die cut machine. And if you don't, let me know. All right. So that's what the embossing folder comes out looking like. All right. So I'm going to put this die away because I already have done the Poppy Parade track ahead of time. So all these pieces are coming together. Now, in this piece of designer paper where I die cut the train, you'll also see there's this whimsical looking tree. I'm going to hand cut that and add it to my little scene here. And there's a little bit of snow too, but I don't need to worry about that because that'll probably just get covered up. So I'm just going to cut, and it's a simple triangle shape, so not hard to cut out at all. Just follow the line of the triangle. I'll leave that snow in there and see how it lands on our train track. Now, I pre-cut ahead of time with the rectangle stitch dies, a mint macaron rectangle to kind of build our scene on. So first off, I want to put the train track towards the bottom. So I'm going to put some of the liquid glue on here. Now you could also do adhesive back sheets before you die cut. Let's see here, just little dots of glue here. All right, so now I'm going to put that kind of across the bottom here. And then you'll notice that it goes a little bit longer in my rectangle, so I'm just going to flip that over and cut off those extra ends so it doesn't surpass that rectangle. Okay. Next, I'm going to place my Santa in his train down. So just put a little bit of the liquid glue on the back here. Santa Express, how fun, huh? And then I'm going to place my tree along the train track. Okay, and next I'm going to go ahead and get this going on the front of the card. Now, first off, I also took a piece of designer series paper that I've pre-cut here. This is from the same paper pack Santa came from, and there's a bunch of presents along here, so I'm going to just glue that down. And I like to use the liquid glue also when I'm using an embossing folder, because when you emboss your paper, it's a little bit harder for another layer to glue to it because it's got some dimension now. So the liquid glue kind of gets into those nooks and crannies, so that's why I like to use that. And then also I'm going to take just, this is our mini ruffled ribbon from the annual catalog. This is, I believe, real red. Yeah, real red, but it's going to work for our purposes. Just enough to tuck behind this piece, so I'm going to just lay it across the seam in between the designer paper and my embossed cardstock, and just kind of tuck it behind. And then I'm just going to take some adhesive and let that stick to it. Make sure it's still going across there. Yep. And just add some more adhesive. And again, usually I would use liquid glue on here. I just grabbed this, but this is pretty sticky too. So now I'm going to put it to my base, and my base is the Evening Evergreen cardstock. So we're going to place that down with a little bit of border all the way around. Okay, and let's place this over the top. Now, I did put this up on dimensionals, so I'm going to grab some of those. I like to use dimensionals. I think it just makes a subtle difference in your card when it's got just a hint of dimension. Just makes it a little more interesting, at least in my opinion. So we're going to lay this down a little bit off center, not fully center. I want it a little bit off center. So it kind of looks like our train is making its way across the card, and I want to leave some space for those puffs of smoke. So the biggest puff is going to be coming out first, and I'm just going to glue that flat on the rectangle here right above the smokestack, so it's coming out of the smokestack. And then these two little pieces we're going to put with dimensionals, and I'm going to use our little mini dimensionals, but if you didn't have those, I would recommend like cutting the sides of the bigger pieces down just a tiny piece to use so it doesn't peek out of your cardstock. Now I want to do the second, I got ahead of myself, that's the smallest puff of smoke. I want to do the middle-sized one next, because the smoke will get progressively smaller. Realistically, there's another one, and there's a third one. So that's your card, other than I did add a panel of basic white in the middle, because with dark cardstock, you're not really going to be able to read that without that. And I stamped a Merry Christmas that came from this stamp set as well. So that is the first card, so pretty easy. Okay, so I'm going to just get this all set aside, and then we're going to start on our second card, which is more of a fall card. Doesn't have to be a fall card, but it's got kind of fallish looking trees. We're kind of ending fall, but we are, you know, heading into Thanksgiving tomorrow, or Thursday. Today is Tuesday before Thanksgiving. So I guess we're still fall, technically. All right, so let me get all this out of the way, and we'll pull in that next one. All right, so first I'll show you the finished card. So I'm going to show you two versions. One is a stamped version and one is a die cut version. So this is the column card, and it can stand up, and it also will lay flat so you can mail it. That's the cool part, because when you see it like this, you're like, how am I going to mail that? Well, it will lay flat. So that's the stamped, or that's the die cut version. This is the stamped version. Now this uses the bundle with, the stamp set is Beauty of Friendship, and the dies are Beautiful Trees dies. This is a gorgeous set. So I'm just going to show you a little bit of both versions so you can see how this is done. Get more stuff out of my way here, make some room. Okay, so we started out with our base, and this is early espresso, and these are already, lines are already scored. So I'm just going to burnish them with my bone folder to give them crisper edges. Do that on both sides. And so when you fold it up, it's going to do something like that. Now, I also want to take and do my middle part before I adhere those columns down. So this middle part is going to go in here, and this is going to end up attached to it. So I'm going to show you the stamp version and the die cut version. All right, make sure I've got the right pieces here. That will fit. Yeah, these two. Okay. So first I'll show you the stamped version. I'm going to pull in several stamps from the Beauty of Friendship stamp set. These are photopolymer stamps, so they're mounted to the clear blocks. Okay, so first of all, I'm going to take the tree branch, basically the trunk and branches of the tree. Here in Minnesota, that's what our trees look like in the winter with all the leaves gone. But before that, you see all that beautiful fall foliage. Fall is many of our favorite times of year. So when I do this, I'm going to do 3 trees. So I'm going to start with the middle one first. And I like to put, when I'm using the photopolymer, this cushion down because then it gives it a little bit more give and it stamps better. This is one of our foam mats. Then I'll do one on this side and one on this, kind of trying to evenly line them up fairly evenly. So it looks like so far. So it looks like bare winter trees, but we're going to liven it up a little bit. So now I'm taking Calypso Coral first, and there are 2 trees here. One is a little bit more filled in. So I'll stamp, kind of trying to line it up with the branches. Stamp the first one. And it already has some amazing detail. Just built right into the stamp. It's gorgeous. But to take it even a step further and make it even more gorgeous, we're going to take the layer over it with more detailed leaves and just stamp over that. Oof. This is with the Cajun Craze. So you see the Calypso Coral peeking through, but you're seeing more of the, ooh, how did I miss that? I'll have to go again here. Just gorgeous, isn't it? Really looks like the fall foliage on the trees here. Love this. All right, let me get these cleaned up before I get ink on anything else. So this is my purple chamois. I like to get the bulk of the ink up onto the chamois first because our pigment inks are full of great, gorgeous pigment, but it can cook up my Stampin' scrub really fast. So I like to get the bulk of it off on here. And then I'll go to my Stampin' scrub. And this will get into all the nooks and crannies that my chamois didn't. And it's just my favorite way to clean my stamps up. And then we're good to go. Now you will notice that the photopolymer stamps get stained, and that's okay. That's just the nature of them. They aren't, you're not picking up any more ink anymore. It's just, it will stain that clear stamp. All right. Let me get this stuff set aside. And I want to pull in the dies so I can show you that version. Okay, so the dies, you have, I'm doing, this is kind of the detailed leaves. This is the trees, like we're doing one tree because it does have this die for the tree branches, but it's meant to go around the stamped image, you know, and these outer limits are just not going to pick up the details that the stamps do. That can cut out the outer part of it, but anyways, just wanted to point that out. I'm going to also pull out this rectangle die that we're going to use for the greetings. I'm going to pull that aside too. All right. So for these, I've already done this ahead of time, but I wanted to show you the dies. So this is a tree branch. Now, I took our adhesive back sheets and it adhered, I got mine all folded up here, but I adhered it to the back of the cardstock before I ran it through my die cut machine, and this cuts this out. And so then I can just, it's basically made it a sticker, so I can just peel this backing off. And hopefully this didn't get too bent up, as I have had this set aside for a while. And it looks like it'll be fine, especially once I stick it down on my cardstock. Let's see here. Gotta find that piece. My desk is looking really messy, so I cover up sometimes what I have been meaning to use. So let me grab that here somewhere. I buried it. And yeah, it's this size piece, but somehow that's gone missing, so I may have to quickly cut myself a new one. That might be quicker than looking for missing piece, so let me do that real quick. All right, and this piece, I'm going to measure my grid sheet real quick, is 4 3/4 by 4. Easy enough. All right. So I'm going to stick this down. And this is a little taller, so part of my stem of my tree is going to get cut off. So remember, I have the adhesive back sheets on the back of this, so there's already adhesive. So I can kind of manipulate this a little bit and place it how I want it. That's looking pretty good. So again, it's looking kind of like the bare trees of winter. I'm going to cut off that extra stem. And then I'm going to take my layers of leaves over it. Now I could place down this Cajun Craze one or the coral, Calypso Coral one. Now my sample card uses the Calypso Coral one. So for this card, I'll switch it up and do my Cajun Craze one. Now this one I didn't put the adhesive back sheets on, so I'm going to need to put some of my liquid glue on the back of this. I did on my coral one, but we're going to go with this anyways. So let me just get a little bit of adhesive placed strategically. Enough to stick, but not ooze out all over the place. That's always the trick. Liquid glue. That should be good. All right, I'm going to place that over the branches. Looking good. Make sure it's getting stuck down. All right. Now let's place this on the inside of the card. Now again, I already showed you I had the score lines and I folded it up, but I'm going to do it for this die cut version too. So burnishing all the score lines on each side. Now I can place my vanilla piece down in the center here. Take some adhesive. Kind of centering it. Okay, that's about right. Okay, and before I get all those columns set down, I have strips of designer paper that I cut to go on each rectangle column here. So now I'm just going to place those down. And this is actually from, pull this in. This is Pretty Prints. And it comes in some of the Calypso Coral colors. Let's see what else. Bermuda Bay, Blackberry Bliss, Calypso Coral, Coastal Cabana, Evening Evergreen, Gorgeous Grape, Petal Pink, Rich Raspberry, Shaded Spruce, Soft Sea Foam, Soft Succulent, and Sweet Sorbet. Boy, I didn't realize it had that many colors. It doesn't seem like it does. But it has all these kinds of prints of nature. This is that Blackberry Bliss. That's really pretty. Here's the Calypso Coral. Evening Evergreen. Doesn't seem like it would have all those colors, but that's what it says. Must be some of the tones in here. So anyways, there is a right and wrong on these as far as if you want to do them all on one side. I'm using this where I have more of the botanical prints. So I'm going to put those down on each strip. I'm just going to kind of, I can either do it on my cardstock or on this. Either way. Kind of centering it on that. I'm going to use my liquid glue for this next one and do it on the back of the designer paper. Okay. Make sure I'm getting the right side. So there should be 3 on this side and 3 on this side. As long as you kind of learn how much glue to use, the liquid glue can really be a quick and effective adhesive because it also dries fairly quickly and is strong. So I do really grab for it quite often in my stamping sessions. It's also pretty inexpensive as well. Okay, now we're looking good. Now this last 1/2-inch flap, I like to put a really strong adhesive on it. My strong adhesive of choice is the tear and tape. So I just got to find the end of it. Here it is. And this is double stick adhesive, but it's very strong. So I can place down the strip and then just tear off where I need it. Then I just kind of burnish it to make sure it's getting gripped, and then I can peel off the other side. Like that. Now, what I want to do is make sure, so I've got this folded, I've got that 1/2-inch strip and then the first one folded. I'm going to fold it like that so it's flat, like if I was mailing the card, but then it's also then going to pop up in the column like that. So I'll show that to you on this side again. So I'm going to take this 1/2-inch flap, put my tear and tape down on it, tear it off, burnish it so it attaches to the cardstock well. Then I'm going to peel off the backing. And I'm going to fold over where that first, you got the 1/2 inch strip and then that first column, fold it in half there and then fold it down flat on your center piece, and then it should pop up in a column like that. All right, now I did take another piece, and this is optional, but with a card like this, like, where are you going to write your message, right? So I have another piece, and I have it measured slightly less wide than this. And I'm simply going to just attach this to it. So, like, this is a card front, which it is. And I'm just going to center the back on it. So now it will stand up, and then you're also going to want to put a piece of vanilla cardstock in the middle so that you can stamp or write your greeting there. All right, now I also wanted to take, in the same die set, there is a little die cut of this bird, and I'm gonna just take a little bit of adhesive and place the bird in the tree. I think that adds a lot of interest to it, especially with a fun color like this is one of the in colors. I believe this is either the Starry Sky or I think it's the Starry Sky. So there's that. Now you can add a greeting on the outside. You can do a greeting on the inside. I liked one on the outside. I mean, you can do both, of course, as well. So I'm just going to take, let's see, a strip of a piece of vanilla cardstock, scrap, and place a greeting that I want to use. This set does come with several, and I'm going to use the Thinking of You. And place it on a block. And then pull my cushion back in here underneath my stamp so I get a good image. And I'll take my Early Espresso ink, which is going to match the stem and the base of the card. I like to coordinate colors as much as possible. So we've got the Thinking of You. And then again, in that same die set, I'm going to put some of these away so I don't lose them. So this is all from the same die set. There is this rectangle that fits around this greeting nicely. And I'm going to just take one of those tape flags to hold it down. And run it through real quick. Typically, in most card fronts, I like the look of a greeting on the front. And sometimes I'll do a greeting in the middle too, or sometimes I'll just leave it blank for writing whatever message myself or whomever is giving the card wants to write. All right, so I'm going to take and just attach that with probably some glue dots would be best. So grab some glue dots here. One on each end should be good. Maybe one more in the middle. Place that down. And then let's just add a little bit of bling to finish it off, because bling makes everything better. Let's see, do I have an open one? We'll just use one of these. Comes in many different sizes. I'm probably going to use the middle size here. I like to lift it off like with my scissors or with my take-a-pick tool, because sometimes the dot of glue underneath it likes to stay on the card and the gem separates from it. So this, which it's doing right now, come on, I need both of you. And then I can place it down. It's not cooperating on the front there. And I lost my glue dot anyways. So I think what I'll do is take a little dab of glue. Sure I will. Okay. Now I really will. Where is my take-a-pick? It would work best if I could pick this up now with the putty end, because then I'll be able to place it down better. I want it to flat in. There we go. Now I can place that down where I want it to go. The glue kind of blobbed out. I got a little too much. It will dry clear, so we'll be good. So again, this is the die cut version with the column card, and then I'll pull in the stamped version here. So both of them are lovely, and I just want to show you a few other cards I've made with this bundle. It's a very versatile bundle. It's one of those ones that you could make so many variety of cards with. Here's one that is a Christmas version. 'Tis the Season. So there's just the bare branches of the tree, that little birdie. And then this is a background. Oh, I better find out what the name of that is. I always forget. It's kind of an abstract one. So I'm going to look it up so I can tell you. It is Painted Texture. So then I just took my basic white ink pad and inked up some of the high parts of it, so it kind of looks like a snowy dark evening. So that's one with the dies. And then here's another one. Same background, Painted Texture, but this time it's just in white, and I didn't do any ink on it. And then this is the birdie again. So another nice card here. Here's one. I don't think we have this embossing folder anymore, but you could get a similar look with others. And then just simply the tree branches stamped off, like full strength off, you know, and repeatedly along here. So just a nice thinking of you card. Here's one where the tree is stamped in more spring colors or summer colors. So that gives it another look. Here's one with multiples of the trees, more of a pine tree and these other trees. So you can get a lot of different looks. A nice masculine card if you'd like, or whatnot. So many different versions. So that's what I have for you tonight. Thank you for joining me. If you want any information about my monthly stamp clubs, I do have in-person as well as online people. It's basically, I call it a hybrid club. So you can join me in person or online, and I'd be happy to give you more information about that. So have a wonderful evening. Thank you.